welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole, and if you've never been here before, then welcome. Today I am going to be doing a topic that has plagued me my whole life, and that is confidence. I didn't post a video last week because I've been so busy with life and just craziness, and I've been all over the place, and I'm also moving, so that's also really crazy for me. But I just wanted to make this video today because it's been bugging me and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I just want to put it out there. So I might as well get right into it, and here we go. Growing up, I wasn't the most confident person just because I watched a lot of like MTV, read a lot of magazines, and obviously we didn't have social media at the time, but in elementary or even earlier than that, I was bullied in daycare just for the way I looked. So right from the get-go, I set a lot of my self-worth based on my physical appearance, and I just didn't really like the way I looked because I felt like I looked different and I felt like different was bad. That really affected my self-esteem early on, and I would always talk about myself super negatively. I just didn't have a very good image of myself in my own head, and I was always comparing myself to other people, and I was always just comparing myself to celebrities, and I just had a really negative mindset about what I looked like. Like, I had this obsession with being thin, so that was one thing that really affected my self-esteem, was my weight. And another thing I had a problem with was my face. But then I realized later on in life that the reason why I thought those things was because early on in elementary, I was called ugly, and I was also called fat by girls and boys, and that truly made a really negative impact on the way I thought about myself. And then also with the media pushing a certain body type, I didn't feel like I necessarily fit into that typical body type, and as I got older, I felt like I had small boobs, and I just really felt inadequate in that aspect. And so for the longest time, actually, I wanted a boob job, and I wanted to get a, I just wanted big boobs, and I was obsessed. Like, every time I would look in the mirror, that's all I would think about was the day that I will get boobs. That was literally what I would think about when I would look at myself in the mirror naked, and that's so negative. I don't feel like that to this day, and I'm super grateful that I didn't go and get it done, because honestly I feel like I'm really grateful for the body that I have now, and I feel like you shouldn't allow other people to dictate how you feel about yourself. And the most important thing is how you feel about yourself at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if someone says you're ugly, someone says you're fat, someone says you're too skinny. I feel like all those things don't matter at the end of the day. And I know it's easier said than done, and it's easier said than done to change the cycle in your head. Feeling insecure is so debilitating. Like, I was the type of person where I would get jealous over other people. I would compare myself, and the moment there was another pretty girl in the room, I would just automatically feel like this big. And I feel like that was due to a lot of my own deep-seated insecurities of the way I felt and the things that I felt inadequate with. Like, whenever I'd see a girl who had like a larger chest, like, I would automatically feel like, okay, I'm a piece of shit. Like, that's literally how I would feel. I feel like my weight and the fact that I didn't have big boobs, and the fact that I felt like I looked different as well. Like, I at one point had a problem with the color of my skin. So in reality, I was a very insecure person. And so growing up, I feel that affected me a lot in my relationships, and it affected the way I interacted with the world. So for me, when that started to change, I actually got into makeup. And getting into makeup, I wouldn't say makeup is the all-one do-all to get over your confidence issues. But for me, makeup definitely was a tool to help me in feeling more confident. The way that I felt when I had makeup on, I just felt more confident in myself. Makeup is definitely a tool to assist you in that. I know I'm gonna get a lot of people saying makeup isn't gonna help you become more confident, but I've done makeup on so many people, and like, the difference in the way they present themselves is so different. If you're using it as a mask, then I feel like it's definitely not something that you can use to just cover up your insecurities. Like, I'm sure it is, but it's not gonna fix how you feel on the inside. But all I'm saying is that makeup was definitely a tool for me to help me kind of get over that confidence hump in feeling the way I was feeling. So it's been quite a journey for me to actually get over my insecurities. And to this day, I feel like I still do have a lot of insecurities that some kind of pop in and out. But I feel like the noise in my head and the negative cycle in my head is a lot less than it definitely was, for sure. So I'm gonna give you some tips on things that I have done along my life to help me lessen the insecure voice in my head that makes me feel like I'm not good enough or that I don't look good enough. So one thing you have to really stop doing is stop comparing yourself to other people. So it doesn't help comparing yourself to others because that person is their own human being. And I feel like if you're comparing yourself to other people, it's not gonna get you anywhere. It's not gonna make you look more like them. It's not gonna make you a better person. It's just gonna make you feel lower than yourself, comparing yourself. And I know that we live in a society today that is super, super comparative. Like, we're on social media, you're comparing so many different things, and there's this such a strange standard of beauty nowadays where it's like, you have to be, you know, this curviness and this size of boobs, and everyone's after the voluptuous lips and stuff like that. But in reality, there are so many different forms of beauty, and there's not only one. And I feel like so many people are so focused on the one standard of beauty, when in reality, there's so many different forms of beauty. The standard of beauty is always being moved, and we're focusing on the wrong things. But yeah, I basically stopped comparing myself to others, and it didn't happen right away. I had to catch myself in the moment, and I also had to catch myself in the moment where I would be saying something really shitty about myself in the mirror, and just putting the brakes on what I was saying to myself. That's one thing that I've learned, is it's all about how you feel about yourself at the end of the day. Also, changing the content that you're looking at is super important. I used to read magazines. I used to watch, I don't know, every show on the planet. MTV was on my TV 24 hours a day. And I just feel like everything that I was absorbing was making me feel shittier about myself. So, like, to this day, I barely watch TV nowadays, barely. I don't watch really any reality TV shows. I do go mainly on YouTube and Netflix, and I am very selective about the content that I choose to absorb, because I feel like the stuff that you're taking in, it's gonna have an effect on you subconsciously no matter what. And so for me, I am very selective about the content that I choose to absorb nowadays, and even the people that I follow and the things that I look at, I'm very selective as well, because I feel like if something makes me feel shitty about myself, like, I don't want to be looking at that on a daily basis. You have the choice to not look at it on a daily basis, because whether or not you believe it, I feel like it definitely has a negative effect on you if it makes you feel negative. So that's another thing that really, really actually changed the way I think about myself. And don't get me wrong, I am not perfect. I still, to this day, will wake up sometimes, or I'll look in the mirror sometimes and I will feel some type of way about myself, or some of that negative self-talk will come back to me. But I just feel like the whole point is lessening that voice and making it this big instead of it just being this big and taking over like 90% of your life. You only have one body, and I feel like we spend so much of our lives comparing ourselves to others and comparing our bodies and like nitpicking this and nitpicking that, and I feel like we're wasting our time doing that, because life is so short, and I feel like we should all just be able to enjoy our time. And I feel like in today's society, it's so focused on the physical aspects of everything and not so much on the mental or the emotional side of things. And I feel like that's what's lacking in today's society, is we're so focused on the physical aspects and the material aspects that we are forgetting about us as human beings, and that we're very spiritual beings, and that we are very emotional beings, and we're forgetting to cater to that side of ourselves. I call this effect the Kardashian effect. So I feel like in today's day and age, you know, everyone's trying to get the ass injections or implants or whatever. Boob jobs like are a total normal thing. Lip injections, and like obviously there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like everyone should be able to do what they want with their body, and if it honestly makes you feel more confident, then all the power to you. But for me, I feel like the fact that getting a boob job was mentally debilitating for me for a good chunk of my life, and it affected my self-esteem and the way I felt about myself, is huge. And I can't even imagine in today's day and age how girls and women feel about themselves, because I feel like the comparison is like times 10 these days. And if I felt the way I felt in the past about myself, I can't even imagine how people feel about themselves. And I feel like there's more to focus on than just your looks. And I just feel like it's so important to acknowledge that and realize that about yourself, because women are worth more than just their looks, and women are worth so much more. We have so much to offer besides just our looks. And I feel like it's so focused on just the physical appearance these days, and I just feel like there has to be some sort of change in society, because there's a lot of anxiety. Oh my god, really? This cat man, like, stop. Women are powerful beings, and I just feel like if we're so focused on physical appearances alone, then we are losing the battle here. Only focusing on 1 out of 10 of the equation is just ridiculous. Women need to be able to be kinder to one another and be able to stick together, because I feel like there's strength in numbers, and I feel like when women get together, there is a lot of power in that. To recap everything, basically changing your surroundings and changing the content that you're taking in will have a huge effect on your mental health and your mental well-being and the way you feel about yourself. And also changing that negative self-talk and the way you talk about yourself in general. And also maybe changing what you surround yourself with, who you surround yourself with, and just surrounding yourself with people who make you feel better about yourself is going to make a huge impact on how you feel about yourself. There's so many different things you can do. I'm sure if you Google stuff on how to raise your confidence, there's probably things that I didn't cover in this topic, but I am basically just talking from my own personal opinion. This isn't a professional opinion on how to raise your self-esteem. This is basically just me ranting on what I think and my own personal experiences and what I think needs to be changed in today's society. But anyways guys, I thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I do post videos on a weekly basis. And I really hope you got something out of this video today, and please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, which is @NicoleV with 2 E's at the end, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!